Croatian Women's Network. Welcome back to another episode of our Croatian Women of Influence Leading Ladies podcast. I'm very excited to welcome today's guest, who you'll hear about in just a minute. I hope that you're all doing well, keeping healthy and safe. We continue to send our prayers and positive energies to the citizens of Ukraine, and in particular to the women and children fleeing to safety, seeking safe haven, whether it's in the bomb shelters of the cities around Ukraine who are being catastrophically attacked, or those having to leave the country to neighboring borders in hopes of seeking security and safety. We wish them all the best. And we encourage everyone, continue to encourage our members and our friends around the world to support humanitarian aid in any which way we can. So thank you for that. Today, we travel to Croatia via Australia and back and forth, I think. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. It's my great pleasure to welcome Branka Čubelić, a 2017 laureate and winner of the Croatian Women of Influence Award. Branka, dobro nam došla, lijepo te vidjeti.
Hvala lijepo, još vas bolje našla. It's so nice to see you after such a long time.
Such a long time. It's so true. It's so great to see you, and I see you're doing well. And we are thrilled to talk to you today as an entrepreneur, as a world traveler, as a philanthropist, as an avid and networker extraordinaire. There's so much to cover, and I say, let's get to it. How are you doing? How have you been over the last couple of years?
Well, it's been quite tough, I would have to say. Dreamtime Events Croatia, as you know, that we organize destination weddings. And because of the pandemic and everything that's been happening in the world, we haven't had any weddings on for the last 2 years.
Oh, gosh.
So we have been really hit hard. We're the front line. The tourism industry was really hit very hard.
Oh, gosh,
and because we're a destination wedding, it's, people come from all over the world to Croatia. So even though our measures have been lifted, it's been harder on the other countries. But this year, I have to say, we have 11 weddings, which is fantastic.
Congratulations.
Well, these couples have been, we've been postponing their weddings from the 2020, 21, and this year.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to a lot of them, my God, you really must be very keen on Croatia. Because, I would have got divorced 3 times already. But no, we are very, very happy. Our first wedding is on the 28th of May.
Nice.
And it's an American couple.
Where is it going to be?
That are coming down to Trogir. And then we've got a few Trogir, Brown Beach House.
Yep.
And in Trogir, absolutely beautiful. Hotel is a boutique hotel, and I think she's having about 120 people.
That's incredible.
And we've got few Americans coming, especially from Chicago, as
Really?
I was in Chicago in 2019.
Okay.
So that's very exciting. I think about 300 people are coming.
That's incredible. Wow. Well, it's nice to see. I'm glad to hear that things are picking up again.
Well, things are picking up slowly. And I always like to say that all our couples that do come with their guests, I call them the Croatian ambassadors.
That's right.
Who's better to promote Croatia than a non-Croatian?
Even it's so silly, but it does mean so much more, right? They're less invested than we are.
Oh, look, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it's all about the experience. And for me to give them the experience of their lifetime.
100%.
And in the meantime, in the last 2 years, I have bought a farm. I've got about over 100,000 square meters in a place called Zrin.
Zrin,
I'm buying back what was confiscated from us 1946, after
Tell
the
us
Second
about
World
that.
War.
Tell us about that journey. That's incredible.
Well, it is. 291 people were actually killed in Zrin.
Mhm.
And my grandfather was one of them. My father was born here. And then the communists gave everything back. Well, they gave everything to the Serbs. So I'm buying back from the Serbs. And I've also got investors here. And Zrin, this is where Nikola Šubić-Zrinski was born. And this is where the Šubić-Zrinski family comes from.
And today is the anniversary, April
Yes.
30th.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. And I'm very proud to say that, you know, being part of this journey, my family has been here since 1710.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're able to trace
Yeah.
that back. That's extraordinary.
It is. And, you know, our family tree, as you know, these are the paperwork that we can find. A lot of this paperwork was burnt
Sure.
and destroyed.
Yeah.
But, you know, life does go on. And, you know, not the second, but the third generation of Zrinjani, like myself, have decided to, you know, invest and renovate some houses. And we're going to have elite tourism here. Because
Of course
Zrinska
you
Gora,
are, Branka.
well, Zrinska Gora was really well known for the
Yes.
hunting
Right.
area.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people coming from Austria, Italy to this part,
that
but there's nowhere
so?
to sleep. There's no
Ah.
restaurants, nowhere to sleep.
Enter Branka with all the solutions.
And I've got few investors who have done exactly the same.
Good.
Quite an elite people, I have to say.
Good.
We've got few lawyers and doctors from Zagreb and from Split. Nothing to do with Zrin, but I think the love and the enthusiasm that I showed, it's the best way. So this morning we've been burning off some
Okay.
trees that are being cut down. We've been busy. We've been busy.
You have
Running
been
after the
busy.
sheep.
After the
Listen,
sheep.
running after the sheep.
You're going to do a food to table, farm to tables experience, are you?
Definitely, definitely. This is the whole bit. I want to have the whole community here involved.
Excellent.
You know, the small businesses, they've got their
Yes.
opege.
Yeah.
Some of them are making cheese, others have lamb and beef and so forth. So we
You've
really
got
want
everything you need right there to create
and, you know,
an
it's
extraordinary,
fresh
unique
air.
experience.
It's absolutely, but and you know, we're talking about Banovina. This is in
Yeah.
Banovina.
Yes.
Yes, and Banovina needs to be
Brought up a bit.
rebuilt.
Yes.
Rebuilt.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's really happened in Petrinja.
No, and this
Petrinja
is very disappointing to hear. We're, you know, we Croats living outside of Hrvatska are quick to help however needed, whether it's opening our wallets or sending materials, especially humanitarian aid. And we rose up again after the earthquakes and are really disheartened to see the slow or non-existent progress in the rebuild. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on that.
Well, you know, I'm very, very disappointed. I was speaking to the Croatian ambassador in Australia because there's also a women's network group that I'm part of in Australia. And, you know, they said they send 25 million Australian dollars for the aid. And New Zealand Croatian communities sent 19 million.
Wow.
Now, some of this money went towards the Caritas, some went towards the Red Cross, and some went into the National Fund. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the people of Croatia hasn't seen any of it, not much of it at all. And it's still a container city, you know, and that's the sad part.
Yeah.
So
this part of our history keeps getting repeated. How do we change this conversation? How do we change this so that the people on the ground who the money is intended for are getting the support that they need to rebuild their lives?
It's very, very hard. Unfortunately, the government, it has to start at the top, you know. You know the old Croatian saying, the fish smells from the head. Riba smrdi od glave.
Od glave,
you know, as you know, I mean, I love Croatia, and a lot of people saying to me, are you crazy staying there? Well, if I wasn't crazy, I wouldn't be here.
A little crazy goes a long way.
I love my lifestyle in Croatia.
Good.
And
Yeah.
I really feel that my soul belongs.
Is there? Yeah.
Is here.
I
As much as
understand
I
that.
miss Australia
Yeah.
and my kids, and I've just became a grandmother again a week ago.
Oh, čestitamo, baka.
I
That's
have
lovely.
we have a little boy. I have three
So nice.
granddaughters. Now we've got a grandson.
Evo, bravo.
So little Jamie's here, and I'm dying to get back to visit them, and hopefully in September.
Oh, very nice. But what a legacy you're building for them, truly. So, Branka, let's go back a little bit. You did make the courageous decision that many of us dream about and talk about a lot and plan in our heads, but you've lived it. You made the choice to leave Australia to go back to Croatia and start a business. We talk a lot about on the podcast about decision points in our lives that change the path or change the direction or decided something for us, and the courage that it takes to not only come to those conclusions and make those decisions, but to actually live them and act on them, because there are multiple parts in that process. Take us back. How long did you live in Australia, and what was your decision point that had you packing your bags and crossing the ocean to go back?
Well, I just had my birthday and I've just turned 68. And I was 6 years old when we went to Australia.
Okay.
So it's been over 60 years that we lived in Australia.
Yeah. After
And it's
60 years. Wow.
Yes, and it's been 8 years that I have been living here in Croatia.
Okay.
So it's never too, you're never too old to start a new project.
And live the dream, right?
And I think living your dream means never giving up.
Yeah.
As hard as it can get.
Yeah.
But if you're determined, and this, if something that you really want to do, if it's, you're doing it with your heart, with your whole being, and you believe in what you're doing. Yeah. And a lot of people think that I am crazy to come into this village, which there's hardly any people, to start a project and start investing here. But it's not all about the money.
Yeah.
It's something that your heart is yearning
driving
for
you to
do. And it's thriving. This is what I thrive on. And when people say to me, you can't do it, don't tell me I can't do it. I can do it. I can do it. I will show you. And I have. And I'm quite proud of myself for, I'm on my own. I don't have anybody here. I lost my husband to cancer 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's something that that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Sure.
And that is the most important. So if you believe in yourself, and it doesn't matter what other people say, it's not their journey, it's not their dream, it's my dream. And I am living my dream to the fullest.
That's incredible. That's a lovely inspiration for all of us. Tell us, you've talked a little bit about, you've touched on it a bit, but what motivates you? I'm sure they're all looking at you like you have four heads. Recognize the mentality of people back home. Kaj se ona muči, kaj se ona gura, što se trudi, to nema smisla, to ne valja, to ne vrijedi se truditi, that whole mentality. And then people like us come in and we're like, no, we're going to do this because I have a vision, I've got a dream, and I believe in my bones that this can be helpful, useful, this can work, I can manifest this. And so what motivates you to do that, amidst all of that, I'm going to call it negativity?
I think people are quite negative. Okay. It takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
It's courage. And I think you need to have that courage to stand up and say, okay, I'm going to leave everything behind and start a new life.
Yeah.
And, you really need to want.
Yeah.
That is the most important, to have that goal.
Yes.
And for me is following my heart. Not only my heart, but I'm following my soul, which is a little bit deeper than the heart. If I followed my head, I probably wouldn't be here.
That's true. I believe that.
But it's something that is much more deeper.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities here in Croatia.
Yeah.
And excuse me, most of us who come from abroad, or people who are non-Croatians, when they come to Croatia, they can see these opportunities.
Yes.
It's like a goose that lies the golden egg. It's knowing how to catch the golden egg without dropping it.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it.
I completely understand what you're saying, because I'm the same. When I go back home, I look around, I think, oh, that could be a business. That could be a business. We need to do this. We need to do that. And I have all these creative ideas, 101. And you think, gosh, if we could just start manifesting some of this, it is a different mentality. It's the framing of what's possible, that more is possible. And then when you start to talk about some of these things, you come up against, to se ne isplati, to nema smisla, pa dobro je kak je. And yet on the other side, there's a lot of complaining about how things aren't the way they should be. And then when you express this excitement and enthusiasm for an improvement or an adjustment or something different, it's an interesting reaction.
Well, it's been a very interesting reaction. I have to say quite a positive one, especially when I decided to come to Zrin.
Yeah.
People have started to be very enthusiastic. On the 21st of this month, we're having a Zrin festival. And it's going to be absolutely, last year we had the Zagrebački solisti.
Okay.
Because we have the castle here
Yes.
in Zrin. And the castle was built back in the 13th century, where the Šubići Zrinski were, Nikola Šubić Zrinski was born here.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the church Sveta Magdalena. And this is an old Gothic church which was built in the 13th century.
Oh, wow.
It's quite devastated at the moment, but this is where we have the festivals in front. You can just imagine the beautiful scenery of the mountains and the greenery and the hills and the valleys. And then we have this beautiful classical music being played. Oh, it's just wonderful. So people have started to come, they discover, and people like to see the old ruins.
Of course. And all the history that's there, which is incredible.
So, I'm a doer.
Clearly.
I'm not a gunner. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm not a gunner. I'm a doer. And if I really believe into something, I'm like a dog with the bone. I don't let go.
I think there's no other way to be if you're going to get something done.
I think, especially in Croatia, you really need to, you need to be focused. And look, it's more, like I said, it's, usually people who have got some ideas, a lot of people say, what a crazy idea. And then when that idea manifests, then people are saying, oh, good on you. Wow, great. I want to be part of that, I want to be part of that, part of your dream.
Yes. So you, amongst the many courageous decisions that you've made and actions that you've taken, you came to Croatia not only to live, but you started a business. You started your Dreamtime weddings business in, of course, one of the most beautiful places on earth. Who wouldn't want to have a gorgeous wedding anywhere in Croatia? How did you find that process? Certainly you've been to many of these conferences as much as I have, and this constant discussion about starting a business in Croatia, investing in Croatia, to help Croatia, but to do good things for the population and to be a good business person. And the corollary to that is always, well, it's so difficult, and is it really worth it? These are the challenges. We're always focused on the challenges, and I find we don't focus enough on the success stories like your own. Can you give us some insight into what that process was like, especially coming from, I'm going to say, a more perhaps organized business environment, to then trying to apply some of those best practices to your business in Croatia?
Yes, I do agree with you. I was very fortunate. I have a business partner, and her name is Željka.
And she's terrific.
Željka Kovač-Vidović, and she's our local Zagrebčanka.
Yes.
And Željka's 40, and she's very enthusiastic. She's our main wedding planner. And we've worked on research for about 12 months before we started to see what sort of an interest is there going to be for destination weddings in Croatia. At first, Željka says, but who's going to come to Croatia and get married?
Yeah?
I said, you'll be surprised. And Croatia is the destination,
Yes.
tourism, for tourism.
Absolutely.
So we went to London, and because, it's only a 2-hour flight,
Right.
80% of our clients are English. 80%
Is that so?
are English.
Okay.
So we went to a wedding show to see what's happening and to see what sort of people would be interested in coming to Croatia to promote. First of all, we had to sell Croatia before we sell Dreamtime ourselves.
Yes, I believe that.
So that was the hardest part. And it's sort of, we've got a few agencies that we work with from abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were 4 years we had the company, or 2 years we had the company. And I said to Željka, let's do an event in London.
Okay.
Let's us do the event in London. So we went and organized the event. It cost me about 20,000 euros.
I bet.
I had no support from the tourism board because they don't support private enterprise.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So that was the only way. It was a great investment because we had about 120 people at our event. We had all the couples that got married in Croatia. We invited them.
Oh.
And we also invited all the potential clients.
Yeah.
And we had 25 members of the royal families from all around Europe that came to
goodness.
That came to our event.
Well played.
Very, very, very successful.
Indeed.
So, and I've been to Argentina, I've been to Israel. We went to the ACAP conference in America.
That's right.
So we got a few couples that had their marriages, and they had their marriages here. And this year we've got another 2 couples that are coming. So hopefully, they bring 300 people from there. We might get a couple more.
Absolutely.
So I think, you sort of have to go out and market, yourself.
Yes.
Because if you're relying on somebody else, like the government bodies, forget it. They give you a pat on the back. Very good.
Good for you.
Thank you very much. But there's no financial. But yes, when you're coming across and you work so hard, for what you have done. I mean, from abroad, I have to thank you so much on behalf of all of us women that you support and encourage and give recognition to.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I do viscerally understand the challenges that you've experienced.
And it's very, very difficult. I'm not a part of any political body.
Yeah.
I support everybody that wants to do good for Croatia.
I'm the same. And it's interesting. You've touched on 2 interesting points here that I'd like to just delve into a little bit. Just briefly, this notion of, you mentioned not being a member of any political party, and that's still very much central to operating in Croatia, whereas we come from Commonwealth countries where it doesn't matter who's in government. We're used to working with everyone, and our success doesn't depend on who the government in power is, because that's who we're associating with. And it's a very different mentality. When I try and explain that to people in Croatia, they just, it's beyond the realm of comprehension, because the way that they get ahead is by associating with, quote unquote, the correct political party of the day, so to speak. And I just can't get behind that, because there is another way.
Definitely. I refuse to. You know, I was quite active in the Croatian community in Australia, and I never, ever wanted to use my contacts when I came to Croatia. I wanted to do it on my own.
Yes.
I knocked on the doors, and I refused to use my contacts. I still don't today, and I won't.
Yeah.
I believe, you know, coming, like you said, you know, coming from a Commonwealth country, it doesn't matter who's in the political party.
Correct.
But here we need to change two things. I think for first of all, 30% of in Croatia are small businesses, small and micro businesses. 70% of the people work in the government departments, which
that's stunning.
For a country to thrive, it has to be the other way around.
100%.
But it's very difficult. I mean, we have 25% GST or VAT tax. Now that's very, very high. If that's been brought down to 15%, small businesses would be able to thrive. This way, you know, everybody's just keeping their head above water. And that's the truth, you know. You know, for me to earn 10,000 kunas, I have to earn 20,000 kunas. You have to earn it, save it, because half of it goes to the government tax.
And that's really tough on a small and a micro business. That's an extortionate amount of money to give away.
It is. And that's why, you know, to employ 5, 6, 10 people, 20 people, there's a lot of wages that you have to work for the wages before you make a profit.
And everything whittles away, right?
Very much so. So, we're fighting, you know, fighting the battle and keeping our head above water, but we love what we do. So,
and you have to, that's it. Back to your earlier point, if you don't know your why and what it is that you're hoping to accomplish, and really believe in that vision and that mission and love what you do, it is easy to be dejected and disheartened when you're trying to push through in Croatia. It's very frustrating. And so you really moramo biti uporni da napredujemo. There's just no other way.
You know, we've lost about 500,000 of young people who have left Croatia to work, different countries, Ireland, Germany, England. You know, these people were educated here. So, and they're doing very well abroad. But now that the government has brought in that, you know, double tax. So if you're working abroad, you have to pay, they're paying tax, you know, where in any other country that they're living in. And plus they have to be paying tax here. I mean, it's so crazy.
And it's punitive. What are you doing to bring these people back home? Pardon me. And that's very frustrating because they've already left. We've lost them. As you said, we've lost their intellectual property, all the contribution that they could have made to improving Croatia and bringing it into its rightful place, because we have the resources, we have the mental capacity, we have the innovation, but it's walking out the door and now you're penalizing it. So what makes you think that it's going to be attractive for them to even contemplate coming back?
I really don't know. I don't have an answer. I can't understand. I can't seem to get my head around the way that the government is thinking. It's just beyond me.
Do you think part of it, Branka, is that you hit on it earlier, 70% of the population, really the workers, are existing on the government purse? There's a lack of entrepreneurial spirit. There's a lack of entrepreneurial know-how or experience. When I look at governments around the world, and even bureaucracies, when you come out of that, they are often people who have had success in business, in private business, or entrepreneurs, or they've created something new and exciting, and they have gone into politics perhaps to give back to society in a different way. We are still, I think, in Croatia, weeding out some old thinking. Younger thinking is coming up, but again, we're lacking that entrepreneurial experience and that mentality of let's see what the social problems are, and then let's figure out how to fix them, and let's figure out how to make it better, easier, more efficient, even from a government perspective. And so what does it mean for a small business or an entrepreneur to be able to start up a business in 10 minutes on the computer and then not have more than half their money go to taxes, where they're not getting the services that they deserve to help advance their business?
I think, the only way we can change things is by the people who are in power, people who are in government, to change their mindset. But unfortunately, the old communism way of thinking is still there.
Yeah.
I'm very open. I don't have anything to, what can I lose? A lot of people say to me, you're going to end up in the Remetinats. I go, wonderful. Everybody that
apparently it's all the rage.
Listen, all the elite of Croatia in Remetinats
have had a stint. Listen, and they still get to reign.
Listen, I'm not the elite yet. I can be in the Remetinats and I can become the elite.
Hey, there you go.
I have to laugh, but it's like a losing battle. We're fighting a losing battle. We have some people in the government or in the Sabor who are trying to make some changes. And one of my favorite people, I have to say, two of my favorite people is, one is an American Croatian, which is Steven Bartulica. I really like the way he thinks and the way he presents himself, and I think that he will, hopefully that will make a change with Domovinski Pokret.
Yeah.
And I think, and also I love Karolina Kristovidovic. She's absolutely fantastic. She speaks her mind. Yeah. She doesn't care what anybody else says. And she hits the nail on the head. And when she hits the nail on the head, a lot of people don't like it. Sure. We had a working bee here today, and they're putting on a barbecue. And I can see they all go walking around looking for things in the kitchen. And I'm just talking. I can't delegate.
Everybody makes themselves at home, right?
Yes. Everybody's making themselves at home. Hang on a second. Can I just excuse myself for 1 second?
Go ahead.
Božo, štipaljke tražiš. Tamo su u sobi. Na krevetu.
Oni ovdje. Ušta ćemo staviti.
Tu ti je na stolu zdjela. Jel vidiš? Tu dole. Ta ispod. Sorry, Carolina.
That's okay. Ever the multitasker. I love it.
I'm sorry, but I've got about 10 people here that were the working bee. It's all right. Sometimes you have to get up off your backside. Right. Get up and
do it yourself.
And help them out. Anyway. Okay.
That's
Sorry
hilarious.
about that.
Not at all.
Look, that's part of life, being multitask.
That's
Us women
right.
can do a few things at the same time. That just
Correct.
shows you. You know,
That's how we get things done.
Listen, we can be having an interview, serious interview, and all of a sudden the barbecue, people who are doing the barbecue, they're in dire
Priorities are
straits.
priorities. It's important. Before we wrap up, Branka, can you share with us? I mean, you're a incredibly accomplished woman at both sides of the ocean, and God bless you for all the work that you're doing and you continue to do, and the positive impact that you bring to all of your projects and the environments, and that you apply to all of the things that you're looking to accomplish. What did winning the Croatian Women of Influence Award, what does that mean to you?
Oh, Carolina, I am so proud. I actually got it here.
Oh, I love it. Excellent.
I actually, on my website, it's also got the influence winning the award. I was so blown away and so proud, and you know, to get that recognition, I'm as much as I do, I am quite a modest person. But to me, this, I'm speechless, you know. Hey, I'm
That's
speechless.
a hard thing to
that's
accomplish with you, Branka. I love it.
But, you know, and the most beautiful part about all this is that I've made so many new friends.
Yeah.
I have met you, and I am so inspired by you. You have to, I have to say that. You know, you're such an energetic young person, and you know, you're very similar to me, you know, except about 30 years younger. That you have the love for Croatia, you have the love for our people, and you know, meeting so many beautiful women that I have met. And one that I'm keeping very much in touch with is, I think she's very dear to your heart as well, is Esther Gidman.
Yes. That's wonderful.
And it's just, I wish we had more of these sort of, you know, the recognitions that we could give to our women. There are so many women out there who have, you know, deserve to be recognized for their work. And most of us do the work because we don't really need the recognition, but it's always nice to be recognized.
It sure is, isn't it?
We all like to say thank you, and we all like to be thanked.
Of course. That's not the motivation, but it sure helps, doesn't it? It
does. Even though being a mother and your children thank you, and your friends thank you, and thank you.
That's what so can kind I of you to say. Well, with any luck, we will hopefully resume our in-person awards next year. We're keeping a close eye on the pandemic environment. What are the travel restrictions or not? We want to, of course, keep everyone safe, and we want to hear more stories and recognize more Croatian women, because there aren't a lot of recognitions for us. And it is always heartwarming and awe-inspiring to meet all of you and to hear your stories and your accomplishments and the struggles and the successes, and you're all an inspiration. You're certainly a tremendous inspiration and my hero. So thank you for all that you do. So we want to do a couple of rapid fire fun things to learn a little bit more about you. What's your favorite travel destination?
My favorite destination, I love discovering Croatia. There's so many places in Croatia to discover.
Yes.
You know, from Dalmatia to Zagorje, from Zagorje to Slavonia. You know, if I had 10 lives, I wouldn't be able to discover every little nook and cranny that is around. I love Croatia. That's why I suppose I'm here. I enjoyed Israel. I enjoyed
Okay.
Israel. I would like to go back to Israel
Very
and
good.
spend a little bit more time there. Jerusalem and Bethlehem and these sort of historical places. I just love to discover.
Yes.
I'm not afraid, and that is the most
Yes.
important thing. Is I was just wanting to say for some of the women who would like to come back to Croatia,
Yeah.
don't be afraid.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to lose. We're so fortunate of having two countries that we
Yes.
belong to.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work, you always go back home to,
Can always go
America,
back.
America, Canada, wherever,
Yes, that's true,
but
isn't it?
give it a go. What do you got to lose?
I love
It's
that.
only,
Give it a go.
you can only get an experience. It's an
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
And it's something new that you will take back to your country if you decide not to live here, and
Yeah.
use that experience in your own favor.
Exactly. Exactly. Courageously take the step forward and give it a go. I love that. What's
Give
the
it a
number
go.
one wedding destination in Croatia based on your experience?
I think Dubrovnik is
Yeah?
very, very popular.
Sure.
But I don't do Dubrovnik. I feel that we have enough wedding planners in
Yes.
Dubrovnik.
Okay.
I specialize in central Dalmatia. So from Split, Trogir, Hvar, Brač, Šolta
Oh, wow.
to Zadar. That's my
Beautiful.
area of where I specialize in. And Istra still hasn't really been discovered, not for destination
Okay.
weddings.
Okay,
So
that's
if
interesting.
somebody wants to come and do, be a wedding planner in Croatia, I would recommend start in Istra.
Brilliant. And some great business advice, folks. How about that? So,
And I'm always here to help out if they need help and advice.
yes, you are. Very generous spirit. What's your favorite Croatian snack? What are you craving at midnight? I want to know.
Čvarci.
I love it. So here's a question. Have you tried the new Crush Čvarci and chocolate? Have you heard of this?
No.
Yeah, so
No.
just this week, I saw this news story that Crush for April Fool's Day, as a joke, posted a Dorina chocolate, a Crush chocolate actually, with Čvarci, Čokolada I Čvarci, and people took it seriously and started asking for it. So now they're going to make it. I don't know about this, but maybe it could work. Salty and sweet.
And I love chocolate.
So
Listen,
please
and I love
try it. Take one for the team. In the interest of research, inquiring minds want to know, Branka, whether this can pass or not.
See how that's going to work.
That's your task for the team.
I love my chocolate and I love my Čvarci.
Sve u jednom. It's easy. So here's a question. What's the wackiest wedding request you've had from a bride and groom? Or most unusual?
Well, the most unusual, one of my unusual ones that we had was the Indian Sikh wedding.
Oh,
that
wow.
was a challenging one. And I also organized in Solin, ancient Roman wedding that we all got dressed up in the ancient Roman, the togas and the whole lot.
Wow.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. I think that would be these two, the wackiest, which is not so traditional for us, so that was a real challenge.
Not even close.
So that was a real challenge.
What advice would you give to a couple wanting to have their wedding in Croatia? What are the top 2 or 3 things that people should really know or plan for?
I think when people want to come abroad, they need to have a wedding planner.
Yeah.
That is important, to have a wedding planner, because we are their extension of their arms, their ears, their heads, and we're here for them. It's very hard to organize a wedding abroad.
Yes.
because of all the vendors. When we come to a wedding, there's about 20 of us, 20 vendors that we use. The hairdressers, the makeup artists, the photographers, the florists, the catering, and so forth, transport, accommodation. Before the wedding, they would like to do maybe a boat trip, things like that. It's because I always say to them, it's all about the experience, and you want your guests to have the experience. So they will thank you for organizing the wedding abroad, and for them to have a new experience and a holiday in a country they've never been before.
Yes. How exciting.
So I think, it's a must to have the wedding planner.
Good advice. Great advice. Now, you've done a lot. You've traveled the world, experienced all kinds of things. What's something that's on your bucket list that you still haven't had a chance to experience?
Jumping out of the airplane with a parachute.
Oh, wow. You are courageous. Good on you.
I think I would love to do that.
Oh my goodness.
But I need, you know what they say, you need to have the guts.
Oh, I think you do. How courageous and adventurous.
Listen, hopefully one day I will do it.
Can't wait to hear all about it. Brilliant. Well, Branka, it's been a delight chatting with you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thanks for being you and for all that you do, and for continuing to persevere and leading with courage and heart and soul and positivity. Very much needed and much appreciated. So continue to be the amazing woman that you are. We love you so much.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for those so kind words. And you too, keep up the great work that you're doing. You're really an inspiration to a lot of women. And thank you from the bottom of my heart, and sending you best wishes from Zrin and from Croatia, and hopefully to see you very soon.
God willing, from your lips to God's ears. Hope to be back soon. And we hope to be back next year with an in-person award ceremony. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for your time, Branka. Folks, we wish you a wonderful rest of day, and stay tuned for the next episode of our Croatian Women of Influence Leading Ladies podcast, where we'll introduce you to another one of our extraordinary Croatian women. Thanks, and be well.
Bye. Thank you.